All right. Welcome back to another hour of Scotch Hour. I'm Noah.
And I'm Jesse.
All right, Jesse, how are you doing this evening?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. That's great. So I think we have another awesome, incredible, show lined up here ahead of us. First on the docket is the old, Pultney?
Old Pultney.
Old Pultney 12.
Yes.
And then after that, we have our shout outs and
Get it togethers.
And then we finish up with our Smarter Challenge, which you said is the 5 things
we want to be known for. What are we selling ourselves
like
as?
what our brand is, right?
Yeah, what's our brand?
Scotch Reviewed.
All right, we're going to jump right in, not go into a whole lot just before we start the tasting here. Old Pultney, like you got a pult and a knee, or a bad knee. Pultney, 12-year Scotch whiskey. This particular Scotch whiskey is from the most northerly shores of Scotland, where the North Sea meets the Caithness coast. It's a handsome box. Pretty conservative. Reminds me of your high school days when you were wearing tons of Ralph Lauren and almost nothing but. But a good looking box. Interesting bottle. Nothing to be ashamed of.
No, it kind of reminds me of the stills.
I think that's the intent. That's a good call out. All right. Well, what do you want to add about this fine Scotch?
Well, as you said that they are in the northern part of Scotland in Wick. They were opened in 1926 by Sir William Pulteney. Pulteney. And in 1930, they closed down due to declining trade. And it wasn't until 1951 did they open the doors back up. So
21 years.
Yeah.
It's about how old we are.
Started drinking. Yeah.
It's been a good 21 years.
Opposite of 12, right?
That's right. Let's not go there.
I do. Is that like a grayish blue or what is that on top of there?
It is very much so a sea blue with a matte finish and some silver, almost net or lace,
that's cool.
like a fish net that's kind of woven into it. So yes, it's very much so from a distance, silver blue, and as the light hits it, it really shines. It's the same as on the box there. Really stands out.
So like when you open up the box, that's the kind of blue that's right there as well.
Yeah, it's a great look.
Oh yeah, that is a nice look.
Probably can't see all of that detail on these, cameras, because since we're not running porn, we're not to 6K yet.
No money shots?
No money shots.
All right. So anything else you want to add about this before we go to our tasting?
No, man, we're going to jump right in. Look at this, smell it, taste it, find its finish, and then we'll give you our full review.
It's happy finish.
Yeah.
All right, Jesse. So I guess keeping with tradition, I'll go first here and say what I got with my findings, and you do yours. So here, to begin with, in the color, I put down something close to like a golden straw to a gold, like a meadow gold. And like I'm talking like the meadows, like when you go out to like the fields and you see like kind of like the that kind of gold color from like, I don't know, maybe like wheat or something.
So not Meadow Soprano gold medal.
No, not like Meadow Soprano, although she is hot. Especially she still looked pretty good in that
Super Bowl commercial.
Yes.
Silverado.
The Chevrolet Silverado.
Call him, please.
As far as the nose goes, I got some hints of vanilla, hints of honey, but more so than anything else, I got like that sea salt, or the kind of like that sea air that you would get, and it kind of just reminds me of being just off the coastline, maybe not right there on the beach or anything, but maybe like maybe a mile or two in. And you have that breeze coming in off the ocean there when you're like in California or even in Hawaii, and just get that nice maritime smell, which I think is great. I love that smell. As far as the taste here, I got on my palate, I got a slight hint of chocolate, a little bit of mint, with some maritime notes there. And then near the end of the mid palate, right before it goes into the finish, I get a little bit of citrus there, and the finish is really light in the beginning. But then after, like, it's like really, like, I almost didn't like know that there was a finish at the start of it. But then all of a sudden, like, it just hit. It comes in. It comes in with a nice brine type flavor.
Much like your own deduction there, I'm right there with you. This is a light to medium gold finish. Definitely reminds me of that field, that meadow, if you will. For me, on the nose, man, this is all brine, maritime, sea salt, air, and then there's this hint of earthiness. I don't know what to say, but here's your word of the day, petrichor. For anyone who doesn't know what petrichor is, it is that scent you get after you've had a rain, after a long dry spell, and it's earthy, and it brings up almost like the smell of water coming off of concrete and stone, and literally that's what it is, water coming off of concrete or stone or dirt, masonry, wood, anything, basically the dust, the fallen ash. It's that earthy smell that comes up, and that's what I get from this.
What's that word? What's the word?
Petrichor.
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 Maybe they should just call it Scotch petrichor.
Man, I am telling you, it is. It's great. And I love the nose on this Scotch. I love the sea brine, the sea air, much like yourself. Mine's more just from being on coast. Particularly, I get more of this from the West Coast than the East Coast. I'm not sure if there's a reason for my travels that's been the case, but I definitely get more of this from the West Coast. This is of the United States. So more California than Florida or Boston, if you will. But just absolutely amazing. And then you get to the palate. Here's where it's fun. There are a lot of scotches and a lot of great scotches out there. Old Pulteney has a wide variety of scotches, a huge range, most of which we can't even get in Colorado. You have to get it to distillery or in Europe. And it's safe to say that this is probably not one of their finest scotches. But with this, it is fun. And on the palate, it is this, I'm going to say, medium bodied creme vanilla taste with a hint of lime meets clove. And it's super interesting to me because you mentioned the finish, and as you're drinking it, it's great. It's smooth, 40% ABV, which is a little bit less than our typical Highland malt Scotch that we've tasted on the show at right around 43 ABV. But maybe it's, it's wick. It's more northern than any other distillery we've tasted so far in the Highlands in Scotland. And then you get to that lime and clove. And I think that's what builds upon this almost sweet, spicy, creamy finish, and not almost, it is a sweet, spicy, creamy finish that is unlike anything I can relate it to right now.
There is definitely, for me, like that finish was just start off really mild, but then you got that nice brine. But I can see where you're getting that sweetness because, as I was talking about that, like at the end of my mid palate, that's where I got the citrus from. And I'm guessing that's where that lime clove is coming in with you.
Yes, it's not a sweet mandarin orange or any orange for that matter. And it's not so tart as a lemon, but it's still tart in a way that I love. And why I go lime is because, man, there's so on the beach, G&T, gin and tonic with a dash of lime.
Dude, those are the best. Who doesn't like a great G&T?
Satan.
Satan.
What's her name? Karen? I don't know. Oh, no, she likes them. She just doesn't like me to have them.
I don't know. I think Karens don't like anything.
Except they're the cats. They like their cats, right?
Sure.
Karen, let us know if we're right. You like your cat. Give us a shout out.
Yeah, she likes her cat.
He's a little slow on the uptake.
I got it the first couple times.
All right, now it's down low.
A lot of sexual innuendos so far in this show.
I mean, what do you want to be known for? You want to be stiff or limp? All right. Give it to him straight. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Anything else you want to say about this guy?
No, it's a delight, and I would love to try it with key lime pie.
I would agree. I think it'd be great with key lime pie.
I think it would be fantastic.
It's time for our shout-outs.
I'm going to give a shout out to my daughter for going to and making it home safely from prom. And I think she had a blast. At least she says she had a blast, and I'm super happy for her. It's a tough world we live in right now for any teenager, especially those going through potential, and not really potential, but real life transitions. And we're not talking about Trinidad transitions. We're talking about going from high school to after high school and having to make tough decisions. And just really super proud of her for continuing to learn and grow and be really open-minded to the world around her. And I love that about her. She's super brilliant, really smart, going to do great things. She's someone who will absolutely be self-sufficient and strong-willed. Thank God for first-born children with that. And I'm just proud of you, Mila. So cheers.
That's awesome. Mila she is an awesome person.
She is.
I'm glad I've gotten to know your kids.
Dude, I'm just stoked she'll still sit down next to me every weekend. I have them and watch a movie and eat her pint of ice cream next to me. And, we always do our nachos, except for the one random time where something else is going to supersede that. And she's just super grateful and cool about that. And I love you, Mila.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. All right, so my shout out is going to go to Fogo de Chao. They did give I went to the launch party for their new spring appetizers and cocktails.
Some of us had to work the street.
And I will say they delivered. It was excellent. I'll throw some pictures into the edit here so you guys can see it. But they had like shrimp cocktail. Shrimp cocktail, crab. I think it was a
crab cake.
No, crab shrimp lettuce taco. They had these like chicken sliders. They had this chicken leg called the juicy leg.
I'm just saying. Whose juice?
I don't know whose juice. And then they had some really great new spring cocktail drinks. One of them was, I think, called the Samba something or other, the Samba Martini, which is what I got. And it had blood orange in it. Oh, so good.
Blood orange makes I shouldn't say that. Makes many a mixed drink better.
I agree. And also then I also had the blood orange in Manhattan. So just imagine this with the Fogo de Chao, right? We walk there, you know the place.
I do.
So
I walk in like Bond.
You did. And go check out the Bond episode.
James Bond.
So we walk in, we go upstairs to where they're having the launch party at, and they immediately give you a glass of champagne to begin with. And then they give you 2 drink tickets. And then after they give you the 2 drink tickets, they had the appetizers. It's unlimited appetizers, so you could just, try all the different types of appetizers that they had. I think one of them was a bacon-wrapped filet. They did a great job. It was awesome all the way through. So shout out to them. And I do know she mentioned that she's going to be doing Amy. Shout out to Amy. She's the event. I think that's her name. She's the event director there at Fogo de Chao. I'll have to double check that and correct myself if I'm wrong. And she said that she's going to get us an invite to the prisoner wine dinner tasting. So I think that might be another slam dunk.
All right. Get it togethers.
Get it togethers. All right, what's your get it together?
All right, I only have one this week because as we have learned, anyone who's watched more than one episode, I can go on with my get it togethers forever. But my get it together, interestingly enough, goes to someone I've given one to before, and that is Biden. And my get it together for Biden is, how dare you go after publicly Putin's daughters? I think this is unfathomable. Unacceptable. Here, Putin's the one being charged and challenged with committing war crimes, yet our president is the one taking action against his daughters who are not actively involved in the war at all. Putin's not challenging any of Biden's children. Anytime you go and attack somebody else's children,
Really?
you are in the wrong.
Hunter Biden's laptop?
Did Putin go and put that out there, or did our own press put it out there?
He has additional information about it, but yeah.
But he hasn't put it out there.
Maybe not yet, but it's coming.
I'm just saying he probably should, because at this point, Biden, you were in the wrong. And I get you're trying to create the white smoke and make it like, well, he's making this up because of that. Those videos have already been out there. The additional information or not, yeah, we all know. So that's just it. Do not go around people attacking a criminal's children just because they're the children. Wrong. I don't accept that. I think that is the worst type of foul play.
That's a good one. I'm going to give my get it together to the Aston Martin F1 team.
F1, we love you. Aston Martin. Cars, fantastic, amazing, unquestionable, especially in the James Bond movies. But this last race in Australia... Woo!
So,
yeah, not wrong.
Obviously, you're the F1 fan. This is the first time I actually ever watched F1 racing. We watched the qualifyings together, and then I watched most of the race, not all of the race. But the Aston Martin team,
dude, had a terrible week.
They almost could not even get a car on for qualifying. Like one of them, I don't even think one of them even got on the qualifying, and then the other one barely made it on, and only got one lap in to get a qualifying. But they didn't even make the cut in the qualifying to go to the second round. And then when they go into the race, they throw on these hard tires, and the one guy couldn't even control his vehicle and gets beached into the sand. And I love Aston Martins from their
road cars are amazing.
Yeah, the road cars are amazing. I love them in James Bond, but in their Formula One here, the F1 racing, come on guys, get it together.
Restaurant Review.
Here we go. We went to McCools.
McCools.
And that's in Centennial, Colorado.
Yeah. Do you want me to go? You want to go? Who do you want to
go for it?
Okay, so my first impression walking into the place seemed kind of like a dark pub. Almost something that's reminiscent to what I saw a lot out in like South Jersey / Philly area. And not a whole lot of people were there, so maybe it was just a Monday, but it wasn't very hopping. They did have some nice music playing in the background, and the place wasn't super loud, which was also kind of nice. Though there's only one waitress that seemed to be working, and she was like,
she's doing a great job.
She's totally on it. So I give her like almost, I guess, with the service she gave, even though it's not like a high end place, I'd give her like a 10 for the effort that she put in her attentiveness. The food itself, I'd give it probably like a 6. I wasn't too impressed with what I got, which I did order the buffalo chicken skewers and a side salad. So that might be my bad for the food that I chose. But it was like, for that kind of food though, it's kind of typical for like a restaurant bar area. So, it's like a 6 or a 7 right there. I guess you could take a first date there, but you wouldn't make a huge, great impression, I don't think.
Oh man.
But it would be, if you guys, it's actually wouldn't be a bad place to go to grab food and be able to have a conversation though. Cause you're not going to it's not so loud there that you're not going to be able to hear the other person speak. So overall, I'd say, the waitress that we had, I give her a 10. The food, I give it probably 6.5 to a 7. Atmosphere there, like I said, I like the music. It's a little bit dark there. So I'm going to give it an overall an 8.
For me, you got to imagine this. 6:30 on a Monday night. We're strolling into this place, and the sun, you got an hour before it's setting. You walk in, dimly lit, not really romantic. I'm not saying this romantic, but what I'm saying is
it's like dark bar.
It's like East Coast bar to me, like Philly. Like I'm in Philly, just a cool, casual bar. There's lots of single guys sitting alone, chilling alone, not causing any problems for any of the ladies. And I actually kind of liked that. It wasn't this, is this the meat counter? It was really like, hey man, I'm here to have a beer and chill on a Monday night. The waitress, I agree with you. She was fantastic, right up there. I don't know that I can give her a 10. That's a damn high mark, but definitely a 9-ish, maybe a little bit higher. I don't know that she wasn't a 10. It's just tough. She was literally the only person we saw working the sales floor, if you will, the restaurant, with 30 to 35 plus people the whole time.
That's why I'm giving her a 10.
Dude, yeah, for effort, definitely a 10. I had zero qualms about her performance, but my food, on the other hand, unlike yours, not right around that 6.5, 7 mark. I had the jambalaya pasta, which I thought also was an 8.5. Getting to the 9, you have to go way above and beyond. The beer menu was decent, tons of shots. You can tell it's a sports bar. Definitely reminded me of Philly, minus the Eagles, pennants and flags and shirts and jerseys from my little bit of time in Philly. It was a great bar, though. Would I take a first date there? Man, if it was on the way. This goes back to me and my marathon dating, if you will. I like dates where if I'm going to a restaurant, unless I'm going for the food in particular, it's a stop on the way. It's part of the journey. If I'm on a road trip and that's the place I'm going, yeah, give me the jambalaya pasta, give me a beer or two, and then I'm on my way. They had one appetizer which looked interesting. We didn't try it, but the menu was the one place where I thought, man, this is probably hurting this restaurant more than anything, COVID or not. Their menu didn't have the most amazing selection of food for us, but I enjoyed it. First date worthy again, probably not. But nonetheless, it's a fun place for just a quick beer. If it wasn't for that jambalaya, just looking at the menu, there wasn't a whole lot that drew me in. It's a couple of beers and a show or jambalaya pasta. I don't know why else I would go. Ultimately, I'm giving you right about the same ranking as you, right around the 8 mark.
Smarter challenges.
So this is a revisit of episode 8. And what 5 things do we want to be known for? What is our brand? What are we selling as we move forward in life? What are we focused on so that somebody knows if they're buying a pair of Noah's or a pair of Jesse's, and we're talking footwear at this point, what are they buying? And yeah, it's a visit from the past, almost a year and a week ago. It's a year ago.
Really?
It's literally, this is episode 58, and that was episode 8. It's a year ago.
That's a while ago.
So we're looking at it a year ago and considering, okay, so do we still follow that same train? Where have we changed, learned, grown? Or are we like, yeah, man, I'm good. I'm still steadfast. I'm not changing anything. This is where I want to continue my path.
Sounds good.
All right. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Why don't you lay the bricks?
All right. So 1 year ago, for me, the 5 things. It was a rough episode. We were just getting started. Let's face it. If you remember it, great. You won't remember it really. If you've forgotten most of it, great. Don't rewatch it. Just know I'm giving you the details on me. Noah will give you the details on what he said a year ago. And then I'll kind of go into where it's changed. And after we've exchanged our big 5, then we'll kind of go into the whys. For me, a year ago, 5 things I want to be known for. When someone says Jesse and they think of 5 things, I want to be known as intelligent, attractive, mentor, reliable, and trustworthy. So this is Jesse a year ago. What I can tell you is not much has changed, but a little bit has adapted and changed over the past 52-ish weeks. And that is now still intelligent, still attractive, but instead of being a mentor, I'm giving it a different name because I think it has different applications towards different scenes. And I do want to be thought of as a mentor to some, but more importantly, in the whole, in the masses, I want to be considered in the whole as a hero. And then number 4, resilient. And finally, number 5, also not changed, trustworthy.
All right. My turn.
Just going over the basics, and then we'll go into details.
Okay, so Noah, a year ago, my number 1 was to be a visionary.
I think that's the Tom Brady move.
Number 2,
you can't go wrong with that. The guy needs more fingers for all his rings.
I know, right? Number 2 was to be a positive influence. Mm-hmm. Number 3, be consistent emotionally. So that way, not too high, not too low emotionally. Number 4 was mentorship, which is kind of similar to yours. And number 5 was to be kind of like be an underdog, just not have people see you coming. And like you, not much has really changed from a year ago.
That's because we're 21. We know what we want.
So I still want to be known as a visionary or a dreamer, right? Because I think goals are important. But this one did change right here. I put a new one here, loyalty. I want people to know.
Damn good one.
Yeah. The mentor / educator. This one also did change here. It's kind of a tweak to the positive influence, but a cheerleader. So cheerleader / positive influence, because there's a lot. You said we're going to go into these in depth a little bit later, right? So I won't go in depth right here. And then the next one here, I did change underdog to value.
All right. Now for me, with the intelligent piece, I'll go after each one. You can let me know if you have any questions, you want any further information.
So are we going to do you, then me, then you, then me? So your one, your two, my two?
Let's just, that's probably best. So we're not drowning one person.
Okay. I'm just making sure. I just want to get what our game plan is.
No, that's good. That's good. I think it's good to go back and forth. Share the wealth and the movement, motion in the ocean. So for me, intelligent, and that is that whether it be my kids or my friends or my boss, anyone that I work with, my team, those that work with me and or for me, I all want them to think of me as intelligent as opposed to, in particular, someone who's not intelligent. So I want them to think of me as someone who is educated, but also uses that knowledge to advance, to improve. Someone who's intelligent is also open in my mind. So they will listen to the current trends and apply them. They will not be stuck in the moment of a past situation, but they use multiple times. At the same time, they don't forget that history is doomed to repeat itself for those who don't remember it. Yeah. What? You can't remember yesterday. I can't believe. Okay, we're getting past that. But yes, so for me, number one is intelligent. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. But also, I like to continue educating myself. I know, Noah, you as well do, even though it's not necessarily one of your top 5. I like to continue learning each and every day of my life.
Yeah, it may not be in my top 5, but I think it does correlate with one of mine. So,
Petrichor. Yeah. You learned something today.
Yeah. That's
word of the show.
Word of the show. We should have probably put that in there too. Make that a new segment. Word of the show.
Let's just do it. Okay. Starting with the show. On episode 58, Scotch Hour, Petrichor.
Word of the show. Dum.
Yeah, it's just
all right.
Moving forward, we can rotate every other week.
Okay.
We got one.
So my number one is visionary / dreamer. Here, I think one has to. I think you have to be able to dream in life. The moment that you stop dreaming and having goals, I think you're dead. And
100%.
And so I think this kind of goes on with being a visionary. You have to be able to not only be able to dream still in life and be able to set goals, but you have to be able to be a visionary to see those goals. And when I'm talking about being a visionary here, is not only are you supposed to be able to see these goals, but also build this vision big enough to bring other people along with you. And not to like try to like manipulate them to join on board or come on board with you, but build a vision big enough to where they say like, hey, I love that vision that you have. I want to join you in this path, in this growth. And I think it's super important for people to have that kind of vision, have those dreams, because the moment, like I said earlier, the moment you stop dreaming is the moment that your life ends. Because really, at that point, you're just waking up and you're going through the motions, and you might as well just go find a grave, in my opinion.
I'm not going to go so damn dark as Noah did right there, but what I will do is bring out the light and say I go to the gym, much like Noah does. We go to the same gym sometimes. We go to other gyms other times, but one of the gyms we both frequent, I see a lot of people, they're like 50, so they're like twice our age, right?
Right.
So I see them and they're sitting here working out. They're trying to lose weight. Whether they're trying to build up their sexual stamina or their muscle mass or reduce their non-lean body mass. They're doing a lot of things, and part of that is part of a dream. Whether it is that you want to be seen as one thing or another, or it's that you want to continue being virile. Let's face it, that is a reality. Being physically able is a strength. And for those who are getting to certain ages, man, maintaining that, keeping that, maybe even progressing that. You get these guys who are like 60 at the gym and they're huge and they're pumping iron and they're killing it. And that's their dream, is to continue building something. I agree with you. Dreaming is something that I hope, if I can instill some things in my kids' lives that they remember far past my demise, that's one of them. Is I never want them to stop dreaming, whether that is the dream of a retirement at 80, and maybe that dream is I'm going to be 80 and see my great grandchildren come and visit me, whatever that may be, whatever their dream is, or I'm going to be 80 and get my 80th Ferrari, Yes, please, Aiden, please do that. Whatever it is, I agree with you 100%. It is important to keep dreaming. Now, the other piece is going from dreaming to visionary to actual reality is just making sure you're also keeping touch base so that you can maintain those dreams. And I think that's where most people's dreams fail, is as they have a dream, they never really connect it to any piece of reality. So one piece of reality, for example, could be, 30 years ago, somebody buys a bit of Bitcoin, they wanted 30 Ferraris. And then they're like, as they continue to go on, they continue to believe Bitcoin can do it. Bitcoin can be the way I get these 30 Ferraris. 10 years in, they're like, man.
You're talking about the pizza dude.
Dude, I'm just talking about any of those guys who are like, man, I don't know if this is really the way to go. And then 10 years later, they're like, man, I got my 30 Ferraris and $1 billion. This was the way to go. But what's next? And that is another evolution of dreamers, which I don't need to stall the progress right here. But I think it is absolutely important, whether that dream is, hey man, next summer, I'm going to have even a better garden out front for a 60-year-old man, or next summer, I'm going to make an even better G&T out back for a 75-year-old man. Or, next year when I'm 80, I'm going to go smoke a cigar on the longest day of the year. There will be no daylight savings in the United States next year. But, you find that time and you do it.
Well, I mean, just here, I'm talking about having dreams, right? There's the Colonel Sanders guy for KFC. He was I think 73 years old, 83. I forget how old he was, but he was old.
Had chicken legs.
But he still sold. He finally found someone to buy his formula, and they created KFC with it. So, I mean, you can, it's never too old to stop dreaming, and make sure you have a vision to go after.
Absolutely.
Any case,
all right, we're going to number 2 for Jesse, attractive. And so this is in multiple different ways, but absolutely visually attractive, emotionally attractive, and intellectually attractive. So someone who can maintain a conversation, have a business transaction, isn't negatively aesthetic on the eyes, and also is a possible catch. So that's something that I want to continue to grow in, is just that, is what is it for me that is attractive. And just like with dreaming, for some, to maintain being attractive to the masses, not to everyone. I'm not going to please everyone. I'm not going to sell myself short, but by and by, I want people who are intelligent to realize that I can have a conversation with them. People who are physically attractive or physically capable at the gym to realize, hey, this guy can bench 225 as well. Whatever that may be, I want to be that version, at least at an acceptable level for me.
Attractiveness does come in all different types of ways, as you were mentioning. So there's the physical aspect of it, like you mentioned. And typically, usually, if you feel good about yourself, being attractive, that also allows you to feel mentally attractive as well. And the way one carries himself, they can be the ugliest person really in the world, maybe not looks wise, but if they have a great personality as far as intelligence, they're attractive intelligently and intellectually. Well, I guess I just said that twice, but their personality and intellectually they're attractive. They'll attract other people to them, even in business or whatnot. So I think that's a great quality to have.
When I think of attractive, it's interesting because it's not just what I see with my eyes. Some of the most attractive people on this planet were those that were never physically attractive to me. And I want to shout out one that to this day it's tough for me not to cry when I think about, and that is Kobe Bryant. And this guy was attractive to me because he was a go-getter. He obviously made mistakes in his life, but man, to this day, when I learned about his death with his daughter in the helicopter, I remember being at the gym and having to sit down. And this is a guy who worked harder than anybody else in his profession. And with that, I think that's part of that attractive piece is he was humble. And a lot of people may not think being humble is attractive. I absolutely did. He sat down and learned and thought about, why did I just lose this championship? It went back the next year and won one. And there's nothing more attractive in a person to me than things and qualities like that.
Yeah, it is a good quality to have. So my number 2 here for Noah is loyalty. I think there's a big thing to be said about being loyal as far as to your friends, to your family, or whoever. It's basically about being, they know that they can count on you. As far as if they mess up in life or whatever, you're still going to be there fighting for them on their side and stuff like that. And there's something to be said about loyalty. A lot of times, I think anymore nowadays, even when it comes to corporations and companies, they don't really value loyalty of their customers. You'll see just for instance, auto insurance companies. You could be with an auto insurance company for 10 years, but yet they'll give a better price or a better deal to the brand new person. So I think a lot of times corporations, they don't value loyalty. I think even when it comes to employees.
I think that's the big one for me.
And we're starting to see this too. I think that's why we're seeing what's it called, the Great Resignation.
Dude, they've managed to go beyond the Great Resignation now. I'm sorry for interrupting. But yes, it's actually, there's a step beyond that.
What is that?
It's literally the great transition. It's not no longer about people resigning. It's about people transitioning to better employers, to better jobs, to better careers, to a profession that more fits their lifestyle. And they are continuing that transition. It's no longer about, this job was hard last year and I didn't get a good review, so I'm going to be resilient and adaptable and do a better next year. Now it's if I wasn't good enough for this employer, there are 10 others out there that'll pay me 20% more to do half the work, and I get a year, much like you were talking about with the insurance companies. I get a free one the first year, and maybe next year then I have to prove myself. And it's this huge transition where it's insane to me that employers aren't valuing those that have been loyal and have delivered. Now there are those that don't deliver consistent results, but have delivered consistent results, still put in the hours, aren't short timing, aren't clock watchers, aren't running out the door. It's insane to me that they're not valuing those individuals.
Yeah, so employers are not, So I think loyalty is a two-way street, obviously. I think it's you being loyal and then other people being loyal back to you. And I think that's what, for some people, especially for myself, I have a really tight knit of friends. I don't have a ton of friends, a lot of acquaintances, but not people who I actually consider friends. And just because there's that whole loyalty factor there, I'm not sure they would be there for me in the thick of things or not.
Those who are the most loyal tend to have the fewest friends. I 100% agree with that.
So that's my number 2.
All right. My number 3, as I read them off, I'm actually going to save to last because that one could go a little bit longer. So I'm actually going to go to number 4, and then we'll visit number 3 as number 5, if you will. So my third now becomes resilient. And with this, something that's very important to me is we are all going to get knocks in life, whether that be we don't get approved for a loan if you're trying to buy a house in this ridiculous housing market. I am sorry. Or maybe that's you don't get the date you want. You get rejected by somebody you find attractive, or you you get rejected by any number of things. You don't get the reviewer raise you thought you were going to get. Maybe the bonus was something where you're like, wow, I just got shafted twice and I don't even feel it. And it's so small, I don't know what just happened, right? And with that,
No lube.
you
No
have,
lube.
yeah, no, you didn't need lube. It was so small. That bonus was painfully small. And with that, you were asleep and never woke up. But nonetheless, being resilient.
I was actually thinking it was the other way. They just bent you over and took you to the shed.
No,
Without
you're
your-
like, at least make it hurt. Nope, my bonus didn't hurt.
Actually, I think it may have hurt.
No,
If it's too low, it hurts.
No, you didn't even feel it is the problem. So with that, moving on, it's about being resilient. And I do want to be someone who learns, adapts, grows. And this is where it gets really tricky because we've used a lot of these key words. So you talked about loyalty, and resilient can be a tricky offender to that because you're trying to be resilient while being to a bad situation, while being loyal, and really maybe some of these other generations have it right, as opposed to sticking with the tough situation. If you weren't good enough for that to get a raise or a bonus, I think lots of Americans were in this position, is where Noah and I are talking about. Most of the Americans we know who got raises or bonuses, unless you were already making 100,000 and 150,000 plus, your raise and your bonus did not offset inflation. Now, those that were making $15 an hour, $10 an hour a year ago, their raises and bonuses absolutely offset the percentage of inflation, not the cost of living, but the percentage of inflation. And with that, for those Americans who didn't, why are we sticking with it? There are hundreds of thousands of jobs out there in Denver alone. And this is where loyalty as a win as an employee may not be the actual win. As an employer, they're winning left and right because we're loyal, and they know that. Who's winning, who's not. And it's tough to be that piece, but being resilient sometimes, those of you watching the show, might mean, hey, yeah, I go back to school and I find another job afterwards, or hey, yeah, I go find another job.
I think that the resiliency and loyalty, they can either go hand in hand or they can go against each other. So
exactly,
you can still be loyal and maybe not get like a bonus or the raise that you thought you would, or maybe the position you thought you would. And if you stay resilient, maybe later on down the road, you will be compensated correctly.
That's the hope, and that's what these corporations, I think, are really capitalizing on.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yes.
And then the other thing is like where you're saying be resilient could go against loyalty. That's where you can like say, all right, well, fine, that's the way it is. And
I work 20 hours a week every week.
Then you can just, you go like you mentioned earlier, go, improve your skills, go somewhere else, those types of things. So, but I think with being resilient, sometimes I think it has to do with what violated the loyalty part, whether or not it's going to go hand in hand together or go against each other.
Interestingly enough, I think that brings up some of our last value. But yeah, so with that, I think you're right. And by the way, when I say I work 20 hours a week, I mean 20 hours more than what's expected.
All right. So if your number 3 is the same as my number 3, I think I'll just throw that to the end then.
It's not. Mine's hero. My new number 3 is hero. Yours is mentor / educator. But you're welcome to throw yours to the end too, because I think as far as when we really talk about those things, mine changed from mentor to hero for a number of reasons. So you're welcome to go to your next one as well.
Okay. Since I think maybe they'll kind of correlate a little bit more.
I think they will, very much so.
Okay. So then I'll go to my number 4 / number 3 now, which is cheerleader / positive influence. Here, I think this kind of combines back into the loyalty and being a visionary and a dreamer too, because there's people out there who maybe they bought into your vision, or they're doing something else, or they're your friend, or maybe it's a coworker, and you want to be a positive influence in someone's life. So if you see, basically, someone's down, you go and, cheer them. I'm not saying like cheer them up, but like basically instill the that positive influence into them. They might have like maybe they didn't receive the promotion that they thought they were going to get. So then so they're down and they're not performing to their normal status. So what you do as being a cheerleader or positive influence in their life is you remind them how great they are, what they're doing and stuff like that, and you cheerlead them on and being that positive influence to them. And you never know what's happening in someone's life. So maybe that one, like, hey, you're great, or you're a hard worker. Thanks for being such a great friend, or whatever. That can make a huge difference in somebody's life. They might have been contemplating, who knows what, suicide. And maybe you being that positive influence, saying that one positive thing to them, or maybe multiple positive things to them, maybe that changed their outlook, and then they go from being down and out to like just being a superstar again.
Yeah.
So that's my number 4.
I think I admire the cheerleaders in life, and why that is because for those of you who haven't realized, cheerleaders do receive a little bit for what they give, but they give so much more than they receive. And you can talk about that from a compensation standpoint when you think about how much Broncos cheerleader makes versus all the work they do versus the Broncos. And yet literally half the time, if you watch a publication, you'll see a cheerleader on TV more than the star Bronco player, right? It's just crazy. And I think there is something about that. So we're talking about energy, and don't underestimate the importance of energy that people give off and that they take in. And I think I love the term emotional vampire so much from what happens in the dark more than anything, because these people are real. That's not even a makeup term. There are people who drain you day in and day out, and cheerleaders are the opposite. They are the ones. And so I think my boss right now, my current boss, if you're listening to this, A, I'm totally surprised, but B, I'm grateful that you made it this far in the show, and C, I truly mean this. You are a cheerleader. You are people who give energy. You are a person who gives energy to every person in the building. That's a lot of people. And I think I enjoy being a cheerleader as well. I enjoy giving off positive energy. I don't necessarily want to be known for that, but I think it is underestimated in value. So cheers, man. That's a great quality.
Thanks.
All right, my next one, trustworthy. For me, this is a deal breaker, and there are deal breakers on many different levels. So what does trustworthy mean? Money, time. Really, this kind of comes into, you can look at it in a multitude of ways, one being the 5 love languages.
Great book.
Yeah, as a partner, whether it's a romantic partner, a business partner, a friend, you have to realize your partner, this other person that you have any sort of relationship, will have something that they need, whether that's gifts or time or whatever it is. It's there. And when you can trust that a friend or a coworker or a boss or a team member, someone who works for you, an employee, or anyone in your life will give you what you need. And there's a lot that goes into that. You have to communicate what you needed. Otherwise, don't damn well expect it. You have to go both ways. But when you can be trustworthy, then you have done your part. There's nothing more you can do. If that relationship ends, you have done your part. And there's a lot that goes into that. It's super complicated. We could have a whole show on trustworthiness, in my mind, based on the different ways you are trustworthy to individuals: a boss, a lover, a friend, a coworker. There's just a multitude of different ways. But what I want to do in my mind I guess really where the stems is, I like to be honest. It's tough to be honest sometimes. You get a cart attendant or a limo driver or a captain at a restaurant, and they're like, how did I do tonight? And you have to be honest. Well, maybe you're in front of a date, or maybe you're in front of someone else, or maybe you're in front of their friend, and the last thing you want to do is be like, dude, my date's happy. You were the worst to me. There are appropriate ways to do this, and it's tough. And actually, earlier today, there was a time when I was honest with someone, and man, I wanted to flipping lie. But I took the moment and was like, yeah, it was that bad. And I think that's part of being trustworthy, though, is you might hurt their view on you, not necessarily opinion, because you're not doing anything wrong, but their view on you, because some of their emotion might not have been considered. Again, you think about a captain in a restaurant where you're spending $800 for a dinner and a bottle of wine, maybe 2 bottles of wine, and then you have to tell them that they weren't that great, but you don't do it publicly and say, this was a terrible dinner. You say, hey, here are a couple things you could have done better. And there are appropriate ways to do that, because as a good human being, you build dreams. To your point of your next topic, or 2 topics later, you build dreams. And that's very important to me as well. So, trustworthiness, being trustworthy is very important to me. When I've had bosses who have really been dumbfounded when they ask me, did you really say this? And I'm like, in front of others. Yeah, dude, that was me. I actually did say that because that's what I had heard. And I'm sorry if that's offending you right now. Here's who and when and how I heard it from. And I've had them tell me later, man, I didn't think you'd own up to that. And you weren't even wrong. And it's just like, yeah, but I will always own up to that.
Trustworthiness is something huge.
It's hard to be honest, and it really is.
Well, it's hard to be honest, sometimes. And then also on top of being with trustworthiness is once it's lost, it's hard to ever get it back.
It is also very much so intermingled with being loyal.
Yes.
Yeah. God damn it.
So my next one here is value.
Yes.
And here I just want it to be, when I'm talking about value here is like when anytime you or one or me, whoever, you spend time with other people, I want them to walk away saying like that was valuable, that I delivered some kind of value to them, and they walked away feeling better than what they did beforehand. There's times where you might have like gone to like a lecture, a training, or met with a person or whatever, and you're like, that was a waste of time. And that's not something that I want to happen when someone meets with me or they converse with me. I want it to have I want to be able to deliver value each time, whether it's just a small little nugget or maybe it's a lot of nuggets, a big, huge rock or whatever. But I always want value to be delivered, that they've walked away feeling either like they've learned something new or they walked away being a better person after they're done visiting.
Yeah, I think I love that. And part of the reason I love that is when you consider introverts versus extroverts, sometimes value can be so simple as spending 30 minutes with someone who needed a recharge off of your energy, and they didn't need a gift, they didn't need food, they didn't need anything else but 30 minutes of your energy. That can be, again, we're talking about love language and all these different things. That can be quality time, a little gift, a card, a sandwich. It can be nothing at all. It can be kind words. It can be so many different things. And I think that is great that you don't want to waste that, because it falls into something I can't ever think is one of the things I want to be known for, because I think goes as much negative as positive. I think the new Doctor Strange movie coming out will absolutely go that way. But time is the most precious,
It's the most important
asset in life. You can give it, but you can never get it back. And this is so, I think that's absolutely just amazing, Noah, that value is that. And again, though, to go out and talk about the one gift I've never given away that I ever received from anyone is a watch. And that's because, and they've always been nice watches, by the way. We're talking like $10,000 plus each one of them. I can never give them and let them go is because I don't value that with $1, because that's not how they valued it. They valued it as time, just as I did. Time spent with them. Every second counts. You wake up and you have so much time in every 24-hour period. How did you spend it? And if maybe you had a terrible day, but you gave someone 10 minutes, 600 seconds of your time, and you increased their value. By the way, that means you also increased your value on this lifeline in this planet. I think that's great.
I do too. And it's, I think time is something that we could probably have a whole show about too, because the value of time is something.
Doctor Strange is coming out soon. Mention it for a reason.
it is something that's super important. And there's a lot of times that I do say, like, I'll send a thank you afterwards, saying, like, time is the most important value. In fact, you can even ask Casey this from our last episode, I think, that we filmed with her. I thanked her for coming on the show. I said, I put in there, I think I put time is the most important asset. So I just want to thank you for spending that with us on our show. So I do like to point that out, because it is important. Like that is one thing that can never be given to you, as far as like you can't get more time as a gift from someone else. Like they can share their time with you,
right?
But they can't give you more time.
Also, they can't take your time, essentially.
Yeah,
in the same asset or transaction.
But once your time is gone and once it's spent, it's gone forever. And the kind of the odd part here is we don't know how much time we do have.
Well, emotional vampires have a lot more time than the rest of us. All right.
And then they also rebirth again, apparently.
Dude, I can't even wait till next season start. Me, whatever it may be, dude. Oh my God. Colin Robinson. All right. So final for me is this one is a tough one, because this kind of comes in that vain atmosphere of, well, why the hell, Jesse, did you choose wanting to be known as a hero in any aspect of the 5 things you want to be considered of? And here's why. When you think about villains and heroes, there is one thing that differentiates the two of them. And in life...
Sorry, I'm laughing.
No, in life, this one thing literally will set you apart from the Joker. And a lot of people aren't going to like this, by the way, because they're like, well, mental illness is X. And I'm like, yeah, mental illness is Y. And maybe it's Y or X, depending on if you believe in females or males, or maybe it's YYX or X. I don't even know. But my point being, we are grown, given, receive, take opportunities to take challenges in life. And with that, we have to learn and grow. And typically a villain versus a hero, a villain will always be scarred. It could be a scar on your forehead, could be any number of little things, but as they're viewed as scarred. Now, with that, heroes typically are not, but they've gone through the same transaction of physical or mental challenges. The biggest difference is the hero, and I do believe this in some ways, is gifted and then also chooses to do right by others. A hero takes the adversity they have faced and does well by it. And that's what I want to be known as. It's kind of like that resilient piece where I have been wronged. I don't know a single human on this planet who hasn't been wronged, whether it's the jerk who cuts you off and clips your car, the guy in the parking lot who backs up into the front or side of your car and never leaves a note. We have all been wronged. And for me, part of it is just like, all right, well, this sucks. What am I going to do with this? Hey, kids, man, really be careful as you grow up as adults not to back up in anyone else's car. I'm going to assume this person wasn't a total D-wad and that they didn't know that they hit my car.
How's it you going to say fuck on the show, but you're going to say D-wad?
That's a whole different level of inappropriateness. Cat Williams knows that.
Sorry, please continue.
No, my whole thing is, and I'm going to read off the definition of hero, a person who is admired. And I do want to be admired. I want to be looked up to. But here's why. Or idealized for courage. I want real courage, not bravado. I want people to understand I am courageous. My kids in particular, who is admired for courage, outstanding achievements. Man, what you and I have gone through in life, not everyone, the billionaires in particular, are going to be proud of. But for me, my kids should definitely be proud of, or noble qualities. And this is the biggest one. For people like you and I, most people will never know what Noah and I have given to others, whether that be time or money or energy, which really kind of also goes back into time, what I have done. And part of this is, man, here come the tears again. I'm going to have to fight them off. But some of the best experiences in my life have been going to volunteer events where I get to hand out food, and I see, can you imagine? I see kids coming to my table, and my table in one example was I'm handing out dented cans of green beans, and they're looking at me like they just got a PS5 for Christmas.
I have seen that before.
I know you have. And this is what I want our viewers to understand is that is a hero. Not that I'm the one who donated the can, but I got to be part of it. So there are other heroes. But that's what I really want in life, is to make that positive impact. Elon Musk, I will say, don't know how far your billions of dollars will go for everything you've donated for the world, but you are one of my heroes.
That's a big thing there, being a hero. And the reason why I was laughing here at the very beginning is because you sent that video to me, that reel that talked about the difference between heroes and villains.
It's real.
And it just made me laugh because I'm like, oh, that's that reel that he was just talking about. And I was just making that connection. And you know what they're saying there in that reel that you sent was that the difference between the villain versus the hero, they both went through some kind of thing where it tainted the world in a certain way. And the villain says, okay, well, you hurt me, I'm going to hurt you back.
Exactly.
Where the hero says, yeah, the world hurt me, but I'm going to do my best to ensure that the world doesn't hurt anybody else the same way that it hurt me. And I think that's a huge difference there between heroes and villains. And that's a great thing to aspire to.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. And, talking about handing out like that dented can or whatever. I remember a first date with this girl that I dated in Salt Lake. We went to a homeless shelter, and our very first date together was the homeless shelter doing I think it was like lunch, maybe it was lunch or dinner, serving the meals to the homeless.
That's awesome, man.
So yeah,
it's fulfilling too.
It is fulfilling, and just seeing the homeless people there and being able to give them serve them the food and being in service of others. The thing is here, I think a lot of people forget this, is that the more you're in service to others, the more you're going to gain out of life.
Absolutely. And I think, again, I'm just going to take one step back, and I apologize for this because it's totally not in the direct motion. It's a tangent, I guess is what I should say, is that Biden's sending billions of dollars of arms to help Ukraine, yet we literally have kids looking at me like they got a PS5 for Christmas on a Wednesday in the middle of the year because I gave them a dented can of green beans. Biden, save America.
So I think here our values have gone astray here in America. I mean, if you really think about it, from my understanding, or at least from my studies in history, the founding fathers wanted us to be an example to others, not to sell them arms, not to be the world's police, but to show them how people could be free and be individuals and have their individual liberties, and being a shining example to where others would want to befriend us and want to emulate us. And there's the book by the French author who came and visited America, and he talked about how America was one of the most charitable places in the world, and we're not that place anymore.
Yeah.
So we do need to get back to our roots.
Emulate. That's a great word. Maybe that's next episode's word of the week. This week's still petrichor. That first smell of a rain after a long dry spell.
Okay, so my number 5, I think it kind of ties into a lot of these things that on my list as well as your list, which is a mentor / educator. And it also it falls into giving of time, right? I want to be known as mentoring people, bringing them along to help better themselves, or educating them to make them, better. And this kind of goes along with you talked about intelligence.
Yes.
You have to, in order to become a good mentor or a good educator, first you have to become a good student. And you have to continue to educate yourself and be a good student and have your own mentors so you can then mentor other people. And I think if you look at our podcast over the 50 plus weeks that we've been doing this, hopefully it has come through in our podcast for both of us, where we have brought in, with the smarter challenges, things to challenge people, to educate them, to have open minds, look at different topics, whether or not we all agree with the topics or not. That's indifferent. What matters here is that we're open to this new knowledge, and to be able to take it in and use it and harness it to better our lives. And I think that's a pretty valuable thing to have.
Absolutely. Again, I'm going to go on a slight tangent.
Okay.
And I'm going to bring up the term good old boys. And when I think about mentors and mentorship, one of the things that I love and hate about the term good old boys is that it gets all these negative notes, particularly in modern times, as the good old boys were drinkers and they took you to your 2 martini lunches or margarita lunches and all these different things. But what was potentially underestimated about the good old boys is that they were actually talking business and personal life during those same meetings, that 2-hour lunch. Now, we're not talking about the Wolf of Wall Street martini lunch where they drink a martini every 7 minutes until one passes out. We're talking about the ones where they're really trying to make sure that their employees are well, both at work and at home, and make a positive impact. And I think being a great mentor is one of the greatest qualities in life. And as Noah stated, being a great mentor means you have to be continuously learning. And part of that is also learning from your mentees.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, learning is just not a one-way street. You learn from those who you teach as well.
Yeah.
So, or mentor.
Absolutely.
And it's a very rewarding, especially, I've had just kind of, and I'm sure, I know you've had some of the same experiences, but I've had people that I've either trained, that I've gone into like management positions. I've had someone who I trained so that way they could pass their state exam to get their life insurance license. And they end up becoming what's known as a broker. And now, they were able to make, 6 figures from that. So it's nice to know that you played a part in someone's success. It's very rewarding, I think. All right. Anything else that we want to add to our 5?
No, those are the big 5 for me right now, as we can share with you and have shared with you some changes, not huge changes, but adaptations or learnings on our own part as far as what is our goal. What are some of the reasons we're doing this podcast? It's because, we're trying to share, help grow, and also learn at the same time. We want to do more and give more and be a greater positive impact.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully, maybe some of you have considered what your brand is or some of the values that you've considered live by in your life. And we would really appreciate if you put those in the comments.
Yeah, and if somebody is out there and wants to be on the show, and you're trying to figure out how to get on the show, share with Noah and I. This is the challenge out there. Shoot out a message to one of us or both of us and let us know what you think we sell currently on the show. This episode might be one example in particular, as far as what are we saying are the 5 qualities you believe we have, whether or not they're anything to do with what we said we are trying to display, to show, to equate to deliver is the bottom line for you, our viewers, and also guests. And if we can get you on the show after that, we've got some great scotches coming up, some big winners. We'll bring out the next one and talk a little bit more about that in just a second here.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't live in Colorado and can't actually appear on the show with us,
in Scotland, we may not be able to make it happen.
Actually, we can't do. We do have the technical capabilities of having you be a guest, but phone in.
Yeah.
The only problem
or video in. We could probably do that.
We could probably figure out a video in, but definitely phone in.
Rachel Berry, we're still waiting.
All right. So, do you want to show what's next week's scotch?
Oh, all right. Remember, as you are continuing in life to drink responsibly, the next week's scotch is Lefroy Isla Single Malt Scotch Whiskey, the Select. Sexy.
Ooh. So, do we know? I never said what the topic is yet, right?
No, you haven't, man. I smell it as a peaty, earthy, slightly smoky subject, though. What's it going to be?
All right, so I'm gonna have our next subject be about Snowden, and I just forgot his name. Dang it, the guy who did WikiLeaks.
Oh, wait, people make fun of this. Siri, who was the guy who did WikiLeaks? Julian Assange?
Yeah, Julian Assange.
There you go. It worked again.
So, dude, so here, we can pull from, any news source that we have or anything that we learn. But in particular, it's only 2 movies. There's the Julian Assange movie for WikiLeaks, and then there's the Snowden movie for Snowden. And the question here is, are they considered, or do you consider them to be patriots, and why? Or do you consider them to be traitors, or why?
Dude, there you go again. This one may be completely different from the last Unabomber.
Yeah, I know.
All right. So with that, I'm going to throw out one little piece.
Okay.
And that is the episode after that. I'm mentioning this now because snail mail gets the term for a reason. The episode after that, we will have by then sent out and hopefully and eagerly anticipated some responses. My challenge for that next episode is to draft, if you will, 5 letters to 5 different individuals, giving them 5 prepaid posted envelopes for return letters back. So all they have to do is decide, are they going to invest their time back to us, much like we are investing our time right now, I think, as a mentor, a leader, a hero, or anything, whatever we're trying to display ourselves as. We're giving that, and what's it going to feel like to them? And that's part of the letter is, hey, what did it feel like to receive this letter? And I'll absolutely let you know and share with you what it feels like should you respond. And it is that piece, because right now it's so easy. You can get a call. Most people don't even call anymore. It takes more time to make a phone call. This is tragic than it does to send a text. Hey, do you want to come over for Easter? Because the phone of, hey, do you want to, the call for, do you want to come over for Easter is my sister's this, my dad's that, my dog just died, my hamster's sick, whatever it may be. It's actually quicker, but how meaningful might it be when you go to that post office box like it was in the good old days? And we'll talk about this on that show 2 weeks out, is how good does it feel to receive that letter when we had foreign pen pals and all these different things? And so the 2 week out challenge, and for this I have selected a particular great, I hope, Scotch, the single malt will be the Dalmore 15.
Okay.
And it's not as much as the cigar malt, but it's pretty dang close in price. And that'll be the Scotch for that episode. But it is 5 letters. Anyone out there who wants to shoot it when you watch this episode and come close.
Okay, so I know you're talking about the Smart Challenge 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to have it pre-written before that show, or are we going to be writing it?
We're going to write it now, so we have 2 weeks, so they have a chance to respond by the 2 week out show.
Okay.
In other words, a week from now, we'll talk about it, and then a week after that, we'll get the response, and that's really where the 2 week out show is. This will come out in a few days. The following show, hopefully we'll get some responses. But in the meantime, we're going to send out 5 letters. We hope you do so as well. How did it feel to write those? And how did it feel when you did or did not receive a response?
All right. Anything you want to say to the people as we wrap up now?
No, Noah, thank you for continuing this endeavor with me. I love it. In some ways, because of that, you're a hero to me. And even though that's not one of your things, you also are a mentor to me. I appreciate that. I know that is one of your things. I continue to learn and grow from you, and I love that. Thank you for your time. Is the biggest one, your commitment to time. It's a huge commitment for everything you guys may not know that Noah does, not just as you see it on the show, but the editing and everything else. So cheers and thank you for that. Please drink responsibly. Remember, find your purpose. This show may not always be it, but hopefully you enjoy it. Remember, life can be great. Let us be one of those positive influences in your life, and know it's floor is yours.
All right. So first of all, thank you, Jesse, for those kind words. Also, thank you for being a hero of mine as well. You've done a lot of stuff for me, so I greatly appreciate that. One of the biggest things is the time that you gave to doing the podcast and jumping on board with me. So
I love it.
I think it's awesome. I cannot say how grateful I am for that. You are also a mentor to me as well. I've learned quite a bit from you. So thank you very much for that as well. You are definitely a hero. So, I've seen you struggle sometimes in the past, and you have been resilient. So you live everything on your list. So that's incredible.
Thank you.
You're welcome. For those of you out there, thank you. As Jesse mentioned and that we've talked about here together, time is your most important asset. So we do greatly appreciate you spending your time with us and watching your show. I mean, there's plenty of other shows you could be out there watching. There's other things you could be doing. So we do greatly appreciate you taking your time and spending it with us. And we want to hear more from you guys. We really do. So please leave a comment down below. If you do and you want to be a part of the show, whether you want, if you're here in Colorado and you want to be on the show with us, you could do that. Or if you want to be a phone-in guest, we can have you do that as well. So thank you once again. If you are watching us, or you're probably watching us on Rumble or on YouTube, thanks to the couple of new subscribers on YouTube. I believe we're up to 48 now.
Hell yeah!
So I think that's a couple, 2 or 3 higher from the last time. I think were we at 45 or 46 before?
46 before.
46. So that's 2 new subscribers. So thank you to whoever you two are. And on the Audible side of things, where it's Podbean, Spotify, Google Podcast, or any of the other ways that you listen to us, whoever you are, or maybe it's multiple people in California and in Illinois, thank you. You guys have basically shot up our numbers quite a bit this month, so we greatly appreciate you listening to us. It seems like we're gaining a little bit more traction. Or maybe you guys are just listening to more of our shows. I have no idea what's going on there, but thank you for listening to us. We do greatly appreciate that as well.
I freaking loved when I visited Chicago. I didn't love all their mask mandates at the time, but I loved everything else about it. Their art museum was to die for.
I'm sure it was. I've never been to their art museum. I've been to Chicago before, but mostly there at the Navy Pier area. And
dude, gorgeous Navy Pier area. That's right by the art museum, by the way, and also the goddamn Silver Bean. You can't not see the Silver Bean. And I also saw
I saw the Star Wars exhibit there, the Natural Museum.
I did not see that.
And I also saw the air show there over Lake Michigan. But in any case, enough about Chicago there. So thank you guys for watching us and listening to us. We do greatly appreciate that. If you do want to become a patron, it's in the comments down below. It's the very first link there. It's for the Podbean Patron. You can be a member for as low as $1 a month. And we just put that right back into our show. So once again, thank you guys, everybody, and we greatly appreciate you. Life is great. And Scotchman! Cheers.
Wait, Noah. And you're fucking amazing. I hope you know that. And for the viewers who don't, you probably haven't made it this far. Otherwise, you won't be offended by this at the least. You don't know how hard this guy works at work, at this podcast, at a number of things I do, because I've literally been dismauled by the fact that I didn't get the bonus I thought I would, so I could buy the computer to help him out with a lot of these aspects. I know how hard he works. I know how hard he works in life. And also anyone out there, what I'm telling you is you are amazing too. Don't underestimate your value. Life is tough. We talk a big game. Life is great. That is not wrong. But you have to have people in your life that bring you up like Noah brings me up to make life great. And because of that, that is my ultimate shout out, Noah, is you help bring me up. I cannot even think about how my life would not have been as great if I hadn't visited the 40 plus restaurants we visited this past 12 months, so that we could give shout outs and reviews to viewers who cared. Or if you don't, then you're not watching the show. But for those that do, man, we're not dishonest. We're being 100% honest. We're not being bought. No one's giving us free food or anything else. We are doing this because we love life. When we say life is great, it's because we love life, because we have taken the bull by the horns and we are bending them. I can't think of anyone else but Matthew McConaughey right now, because I think he's the guy who should be on our goddamn show, because he'd be like, you guys are winning. And he might actually say the opposite. And then he'd crush me and I'd be like in a corner like, I want to die now. He'd be like, you guys are losing. But I don't think he would be that way. I think he'd be like, you don't have to make $1 billion to be winning. You can be in a small little apartment and paying the bills and be winning. But the thing is, Noah, man, you've brought so much joy in my life with this proposition, and I cherish it. I talk about it all the time at work, about the many opportunities, experiences that we've had. Now we're going to start expanding upon that. We're going to go to the art museum, the botanical gardens. We've talked about a lot of these things. Noah's brought up far more. I'm not going to drown this out forever, because as he'll let you know, this is going to be a long episode, but nonetheless, life is great. Again, Noah, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, man. And, thank you for the
cheers.
Cheers. We hope you enjoyed this evening's episode of Scotch Hour. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you have not done so already, please become a Patron member. with memberships starting as low as $1 a month. Thank you, and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.